And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Zelachowski versus Ciarto, step forward, please.
23-year-old Sylvia Zelachowski is suing her friend's ex-boyfriend, Henry Ciarto, for an unpaid loan for bail. Henry claims Sylvia wasn't the person who posted his bail.
I think I got the relationship right. He was the boyfriend of a girlfriend of yours.
Yes.
No.
He got himself arrested. When were you arrested?
Excuse me?
When were you arrested?
May 31st, my birthday. It was a great birthday present, man.
Do you think that I have a sense of humor, sir?
No, man.
I have. You are absolutely correct.
You do? Oh, yeah? I just wondering.
Do you believe you are an accomplished person?
In what way? Like,
in any
my
way?
life? Yeah, of course.
In any way. Do you?
Of course.
This is not going to be a happy...
Oh, no. What? No? Okay.
If you think, sir, that this is going to be your party, your playpen, I am going to quickly disabuse you of that thought. Do you understand?
Of course.
Good. What were you arrested for on your birthday?
Ma'am, that has nothing to do with what's going on right now.
I'm asking you a question. I
Ma'am,
want
I'm
to
telling
know.
you that has nothing to do with what's going on right now.
Is the case that you were arrested for disposed of?
Everything was taken care of, yes.
Then you will answer my question and tell me what you were arrested for, Mr. Ciarto.
Being a bad person.
There's nothing in the penal law, sir, that makes that an offense. It's an offense to humanity, but not necessarily against the law.
Well, that's it.
What were you arrested for, sir?
I don't want to discuss this on national television.
Fine. You paid his bail?
Yes.
That's what the case is about.
Right.
And you want the money back.
Right.
He was arrested for being a bad person. He acknowledges that you posted his bail. He just says he never asked you to post his bail. That's his defense. It's no defense. Mr. Smarty Pants is going to pay his own bail because Mr. Smarty Pants was arrested for being a bad person, according to him, and probably a whole lot of other things. I mean, I don't know whether he was a pervert. I don't know whether he was a sexual molester. I don't know whether he abused a child.
No.
Well, how do I know that, sir? You're not telling me. It could be anything.
Well,
somebody who doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of an
No, it's
audience
not
of
that.
10 million people doesn't come on court television.
That's not the
Judging
point.
for the plaintiff in the
That's
amount of
not the point.
$500. Get him out of here.
That girl did not pay my bail. I got proof right here that says her name's not even on the freaking bail slip.
I was the one that put up the money, and he agreed to pay it back.
I am a bad guy, don't get me wrong. I'm not a freaking saint.
I just thought that he was a decent person starting his life over.
You know, she's an idiot. She's naive, she's stupid, she's going to be taking this the rest of her life. That's it.
He's a lowlife. He's never going to be anything.
Anger was a gift.
Lesson learned, and I got to be careful who I lend money to.
Sworn in, you may be seated.
All right. As far as I can understand from this paperwork, Miss D'Amelio was a friend of yours.
Yes.
According to you, she came to you with a money order that she had gotten somehow from a drugstore chain. And she said this was a check?
Yes, Your Honor.
And could you cash it for her?
Yes.
You looked at it, took it to your bank. Your bank said it was okay. You cashed it and gave her the money.
Yes, Your Honor.
And a few days later or a week later, the bank advised you that it was a fraudulent money order and they took the money out of your account.
Yes.
You want her to reimburse you for the money that's out of your account, since she got the money.
Right.
Ms. D'Amelio says that you were well aware of the fact that this might not be a real money order. You took a chance in cashing it and only gave her half the money, and you kept the other half, so she doesn't owe you anything, right?
Yes.
Let us say I believe you. You got $425.
Yes.
If she gave you $425 and you both had a suspicion that this might not be a real check, but then you found out it's not a real check and she's out now, her half, why wouldn't you give her back the money that you got?
My point is she was well aware that this was fraudulent, or might have been fraudulent. When we went to the bank, they put a hold on it. They didn't give her money right away. They put a hold. They said, we got to see if it clears.
Your Honor.
Sorry. So a few days later, I get a phone call from her. She said it cleared. She gave me my, half. Now, she has the other half, okay?
Fine. Let's say I believe you.
Now, ever since then, I gave her money out of guilt. I've given her money because I felt guilty because
How much did you give her?
It's been since June. All these payments just happened.
Well, just tell me how much you gave her. Show me.
That's the thing. I can't show you.
Well, then I don't believe you.
All right. I understand that, Judge Judy.
Well, then I don't believe you, Miss D'Amelio. Why don't you owe her the money?
Because she was well aware. She was well aware that this check could have been fraudulent.
So?
So, legally, I don't owe her the money.
Of course you do!
The bank told me...
Can I say something?
Sure.
She took it to her bank. She signed it. Doesn't she? I mean, she would gain responsibility for that after she signs it and gives it to her banking establishment.
Listen, Bird, do me a favor.
Can I?
Sure.
Do me a favor. Do you have money in your wallet?
I don't have my wallet on me, Judge. You can borrow some
I
money
need
from
some
somebody
money.
in the audience.
I need some money. I need singles. A whole bunch of singles.
Singles?
Who's got a whole bunch of singles? We'll give them right back to you. Thank you.
Got some singles here?
Give me more. Give me more. 1, 2,
Need some more?
3, 4, 5, 6. I need 8.
You need 8 all again?
6, 7, 8. Very
Since you're
good.
passing out money.
Yeah, I know you're used to taking things that don't belong to you.
No. See, you know what? That's how I didn't want this to turn out.
4, 5,
Judge
6.
Judy.
So quiet. Okay. Put your hand down, because I don't think between the two of them they have a double digit. This is the money that she got when she cashed the money order. Do you understand?
Yes.
I want you to hand this to her, and I want her to give to the defendants $4. I am your bank. I have just cashed your check for $800. You keep 4 for yourself. You give her 4.
Yes.
Now, a week later, the bank tells you you have cashed a fraudulent check and their account $800.
Yes, Your Honor.
Take back the $4 from her, please. Now, if you had your wallet with you, I would have you go into your wallet and take out another $4. Now you would be down $4 and another $4.
Yes, Your
That
Honor.
represents that money. So I want you to raise your hand and show me how much money you have in your hands. Now I want you to raise your hand and show me how much money you have in your hands. Now do you understand?
Yes, but I have given money to her.
That's not what you said in your answer.
Well, I have a receipt from her.
Show me.
We don't really owe her. She gave her the money.
Even on this,
But we
the court
have-
papers, it says I didn't pay her back fully.
Show me. What is this?
That may mean nothing to you, but that means everything to me. That when this first happened, I told her, write down the amount I owe you, Sandy. That's the amount she wrote down. And I went off that. I'd never asked her for receipts because we were friends. And now, because of it, now this. But this is how she works. This is how she is.
How much money did she give you?
Your Honor, on June the 20th of 2007, Christine D'Amelio called me over to the house and asked if I could run a check through my bank account for her.
Listen.
Yes, Your Honor.
I asked you a question. How much did she give you back?
Approximately $375.
No. Listen to me. I don't need to deal with approximates. You deal with approximates, go someplace else. This is
I
the
have
court.
all the amounts given
So
in this
then let
book.
me hear.
On the 3rd of July, she gave me $50.
Go ahead.
On the 10th of July, she gave me $50.
Okay.
On August 10th, she gave me $75.
Okay.
On August 11th, she gave me $100.
Mm-hmm.
On August the 17th, she gave me $20. August the 27th, she gave me $35. On September 2nd, $50. September 8th, $25. September 12th, $30. And that was the last I heard from them.
Fine. So far, you gave her more than half the entire amount, which leads me to believe that why would you give her more than half of the original amount unless you would charge certain fees? Were you charged any fees by the bank?
Yes, Your Honor, I was charged 8 overdraft fees.
Okay. Now let me hear your version of these events, and then I'll get to them.
Okay, on the 20th of June, Christine called me to her house and showed me a check from CVS Pharmacy, asked me if I could run it through my bank account for her because she doesn't have a bank account, and I agreed because the previous summer she had received other checks in the mail that were cashed. I don't know who she had cashed them with, but they had been cashed. They were sweepstakes checks, of what she had told me. She said she goes online and plays a lot of contests, and that's how she's getting these checks. We put the money in the bank. We waited 5 days, went back to my bank, and I wrote a check to Miss Christine for $561, and I gave that to her.
I don't have that. She never wrote me that.
I cashed that check and gave it to her.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wrote a check for $561 to
Yes,
her.
Yes, Your Honor. I wrote it to myself and cashed it and gave her the cash.
Oh, Jesus, it's getting better.
Where did you get that figure from?
I don't know, Your Honor. It's just...
That doesn't sound right to me, Miss Freeman. Sorry. Doesn't sound right to me. $500, $525, $400, $561. I don't believe that you cashed and gave to her.
No, she didn't.
Shh.
Sorry.
Do I look like I need your help?
No, not at all.
For Christina D'Amelio and her boyfriend Michael Welsh scammed her when they asked her to cash a fraudulent money order.
Now, I don't believe that you gave her $561. It doesn't make sense. That amount of money doesn't make sense. I believe that you gave her half, and I believe that, according to you,
Yes, Your
she's
Honor.
paid you back $435.
Right. And then there's the fees that I entailed from this check, and I did not know it was a fraudulent check. We were at the bank together.
Listen to me. If you cashed a check for her
Yes, Your Honor.
and gave her the entire amount of the check,
Yes.
you would get back the entire amount of the money.
Right, Your Honor.
And the fees. You split this check
Your Honor,
with her.
she owed me money.
Yeah, but you split this check with her. Now you're making it up as you're going along. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was guaranteed this money would be paid by her and her boyfriend.
She wants money. She wants the money, and she wants it from everybody owes her.
And it...
All parties in the matter of Snow versus Boots, step forward, please.
Sheila Snow is suing her niece's ex-boyfriend, Richard Boots, for defaulting on a car loan that was in her name. Richard says Sheila knew the risk she was taking when she co-signed.
Miss Snow, are you a working gal?
Yes, I am.
What do you do?
I'm an adjuster for a bank.
And how long have you worked for the same company?
4 years.
And before that?
I was a stay-at-home mother.
And you went back into the workforce after your kids got out of the house, or no
My
longer?
husband passed away.
So you had to go back to work to
Right.
support your family. Your niece had a boyfriend, this one over here.
Yes, ma'am.
He needed a car, and you were foolish enough to co-sign for a car for him.
Well, I knew that they had a child together, 4-year-old.
I don't care if they had a gaggle of geese.
Well, I tried to help out. I was trying to help them get on their feet, and now I think I've learned my lesson about co-signing on loans.
Because to make a long story short, they are no longer together. What'd you do with the car?
I sold it.
He sold the car, took the money, stopped making the payments. And because I always like to hear a viable defense, Mr. Boots is going to actually tell me in spoken word what his defense to this case is for sticking you with the remainder of this bill.
Well, we signed a lease in February. I was working with my dad at the time. Business slowed down, forced me, not to be able to make the payments no more. So whenever I did sell the car, I took the money to pay the bills that I had.
And?
And my defense is that knowing that she co-signed for the loan, she took all the risk of knowing that if I defaulted in the payment, that she would be liable for it.
That's what I thought you said. At least you're consistent. You're an idiot. Who do you work for now?
Milliken Millwork.
And what do you do for them?
I'm a table operator.
So why didn't you stop paying her back? What does that mean?
As much as I pay now in child support, I don't
care. Who made the babies?
I did.
Not her.
Right.
Well, if you keep yourself zipping up, you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I can't pull money out of thin air.
You don't have to pull money out of thin air, sir. Get 2 jobs. Instead of working 8 hours a day, work 16 hours a day. It'll keep you busy.
Right.
So you don't make any more babies. How many you have?
2.
How old are you?
23.
You have too many babies.
Maybe in your eyes.
Ugh. Listen to me, Miss Snow. You're a very nice lady, and you have a good heart. How old are your children?
I have one, and she's 17.
So she's a minor. She's still home. She's a
Yes,
nice
ma'am.
girl?
Yes.
Going to school?
Yes.
See him? He has parents, siblings, blood relatives. They wouldn't take a chance on him. That should have been your first clue. He has parents?
Yes, he does.
If his mother wouldn't take a chance on him, if his father wouldn't take a chance on him, you should have said, listen.
Well, his father, shortly after I bought the car, his father went out and bought him a motorcycle.
Then his father is as big an idiot as he is. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Anyway, your niece should have considered that before she decided to procreate with him. Unfortunately, she didn't. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $26.20. That's all. Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very happy that she sided with me, and I'm going to get my money and the loan's going to get paid off.
Glad it's over with.
I tried many times to contact Richard, and he would not return my phone calls.
Strictly out of spite.
It's not out of spite. There's been lots of things that have gone on, but it wasn't fair to let her credit go to waste because he failed to do so to make any payments.
It took 2 years to take me to court.
Now that all of this is behind us, that we can be parents and be able to raise our kids and stop worrying about this and everything else that's happened in the past.
That's all it's about is the children.
It's definitely been a learning experience.
Well, we can look forward. Just move on.
I've already told everyone, don't come to me for a signature.
Ladies, have a seat.
Ms. Kellogg, I've read your complaint. You and the defendant have a child together, separated, and at some point reconciled. How old is your child?
He's 8 years old.
When did you reconcile?
Middle of July.
July of 07. And when you reconciled, you moved back to his house?
Yes, I did.
With the 8-year-old?
Yes, I did.
At the time, Mr. Kitchenmaster?
Yes.
Had a payroll deduction order levied against his salary for child support.
Correct.
And how much money was being taken out of your check?
$127 a week.
This is your complaint. You lived together for 2.5 months. It didn't work out. According to you, Mr. Kitchenmaster threw you out unceremoniously. So you want some sort of wrongful eviction. That's not going to happen. You were paying rent?
No. I was providing towards the expenses in the home and giving Mr. Kitchenmaster his child support back.
Well, anyway, you didn't have a lease with him. This is not a wrongful eviction. So that part of your complaint is dismissed.
It's fine.
It is your claim that the money was taken out of his check. You got it. You gave him that money back in cash.
Yes, I did.
Just a second. And when you finally left the home, because it didn't work out, Mr. Kitchenmaster went to the state, advised them that you had been living with him for 2.5 months. The state stopped your child support for 2.5 months.
Front of court.
And you want that money back because it is your claim that you returned the money to him.
Yes, ma'am.
In cash. Mr. Kitchenmaster says you never gave him any money in cash. You may have given money expenses for the house, but it was not a return of the child support. Is that your claim?
Yes.
I assume, Ms. Kellogg, that you have bank records that are going to indicate to me $127 a week coming into your account and then a cash withdrawal of $127 within a day or 2 or 3 of
the same day.
The deposit.
I have the same day.
Can I see it,
and my
please?
witnesses as well.
Can I see it, please?
I had a deposit of... Okay.
Okay. I see that $127 came in, and I see on the same date $100 came out.
I withdrew $100 each Monday, and I gave him $100 of that child support, minus the $27.
Just a minute. What other money did you give him?
I gave him money out of my payroll.
Just a second. I mean, you were living there with your child, and I assume paying part of the expenses.
Yes.
Because this looks to me as if every time he sent you child support, you took $100 and you said, here is for my contribution to the household.
No.
So you say that you gave him additional money.
I did.
Show me.
I gave him cash money out of my
Show
pay.
me.
I bought groceries, and I took care of the children fully while I was there.
What did you pay towards rent?
He didn't ask for rent.
Well, what was this $100 for?
That $100 was to give him back his child support.
You didn't give him back his child support. His child support was $127. You only gave him $100. You have a witness? Just a second. Just a second. I want to hear a witness because somebody wants to raise their hand and tell me something. So I want to hear what you have to say. Who are you?
I'm Brittany. I'm her daughter.
Yeah. Did you move in too?
Yeah.
Just a minute. Hold on a second. So it wasn't just you and the 8-year-old. It was you and your 8-year-old and your daughter.
Yeah, it was 3 kids. Me, my sister, and my brother.
So you brought 2 other children with you?
Yes.
And how much were you paying for their support?
I was paying for their support completely.
How? Show me.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Her 22-year-old son also moved back in with us for a while?
No, I want you to show me. Listen to me. I want you to show me somewhere in your bank records that you took out each month and gave him money for the support of yourself and your 2 other children.
I cashed my payroll, and we discussed what the bills were, and I paid him towards phone bills and consumers. I provided groceries, and I took care of my children completely as far as clothing or anything that they needed, that whole duration.
What was this $100 for, Mr. Kitchenmaster?
She said that it was my child support, returning my child support. and there was no bill paying. I received $580 from her, and that was it.
$580 in total for the
Cash.
2.5 months that she lived there, and that includes these $100. Does that include this
That was those $100.
That's not
these
true.
$100 payments?
Yes, $580 total, and it would have been $600, but she had to borrow $20 back because she didn't have the money. She didn't have any money. She told
That's
me.
not true, Your Honor.
Who are
I
you?
work at
Well-
that.
Who are you?
Mrs. Kellogg's witness.
Come up. Tell me what you know. Tell me your name.
My name is Natalie Vlahos.
Go ahead.
I am a friend of Dana, and I am a friend of Mr. Kitchenmaster. At one point, when they got into an argument, and they were fighting, and they were splitting up and breaking up, I went to Mr. Kitchenmaster's house, and I spoke to him, and his main concern was that he wasn't getting his child support back. And I said, isn't Dana giving you the child support every week? And he said to me, yes, she is, but she's keeping gas money. And I said, well, what is she keeping? He said, she's keeping $27. I said, well, she does have to go back and forth to work. Part of the child support is to make her able to support the children that she has.
That's not true. The child support is only for the child, not for her.
That's right.
He was telling me...
Just a second. Only for the child.
Well, I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just telling you, if that's what you think, that's not what the child support is for.
Thank you. But he did tell me that he was getting the child support back.
You're not following what I'm saying. How was she paying the expenses, her share of rent for herself and 3 children, her share of gas, electric, phone, all of those other things? And if what you're telling me is that that's the $100 that you were contributing to the household...
That's not all I was contributing.
Well, then you
ma'am.
have to show me. How much were you making in your job?
I gross $800 a pay. I have a pay stub here.
How much were you bringing home each week, every 2 weeks?
Your Honor, I can't testify. I don't mean to interject, but I can't testify to this because I didn't live in the house.
I understand that. I'm not asking you that question. I'm asking her that question.
Thank you.
Judge Judy Dana Kellogg claims ex-boyfriend Mark Kitchenmaster owes for child support. Mark says he and Dana were living together off and on, so he owes nothing.
All right, Ms. Kellogg, go ahead.
I contribute everything I make towards
Would you
bills.
please answer my question?
What was that?
How much were you bringing home every week, every 2 weeks?
Around $540 every 2 weeks, and I make my own car payments
Just a second. Just a second. $540 every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Now, what's your car payment?
$187 a month.
Insurance?
$100 a month.
That's $287 right off the top. You have how many children that lived with you?
3.
3, including the 8-year-old?
Yes.
Did you ever have an older child that moved in for a while?
He came and stayed for 1 week. He lives in Traverse City.
Okay. So at some point, there you had 4 children living there.
Well, he wasn't living there. He was visiting.
He was eating, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Not provided by Mr. Kitchenmaster.
Just a second. So yourself and your children, food, gas, electric, let's say it's $100 a week. That's $400 a month. $687. So that leaves you $300 left over for clothes, expenses, school, lunches, after-school activities. There's no way that you were giving him any money for rent. There's no way. You don't have money. You had absolutely no money.
I gave him cash on all the bills that he had.
Fine. Okay. Listen, I absolutely understand what you're talking about, sir. She doesn't get it. She says it's a return of your child support. It wasn't. It was to support herself and her other children.
Right. You're right.
And
I went to the front of the court, and I pulled up all my statements of what I pay a weekly.
now I understand. It costs more to run a household with 6 people in it than $100. I got it.
Very
How many people from your end lived in the house?
I live by myself.
So it was just the plaintiff and her either 3 or 4 children, one of whom is yours?
Yes.
Okay? And for that, she was contributing $100 a week.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, your case is dismissed, madam. That's all. He's had an absolute right to get his money back. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I gave up my place to live and moved back in with him for 2 months.
When she moved in, she never unpacked anything, and she always slept on a couch.
It didn't work out because he has anger issues. He's admitted to in the past needing help for his anger issues.
I think sometimes a little angry when people get used.
Talks about slamming my head into the floor.
All parties in the matter of Lothridge versus Lothridge. Step forward, please.
22-year-old Christopher Lothridge is suing his ex-wife, 22-year-old Carolise Lothridge, for unpaid parking tickets on a vehicle they both own.
Mr. Lothridge, this is your former wife. You have one child together. You have physical custody of that child, according to what I read here, and it is your claim that prior to the divorce, your wife accumulated parking tickets on a truck that was subsequently given to you in the divorce decree. When you went to re-register the trucks, you ascertained that there were parking tickets on the car, parking tickets that had accrued, you believe, when your wife was driving the truck. You want her to pay those parking tickets. Your former wife says that the parking tickets were not accrued on that truck, but were accrued on a car that was hers, that you stole from her and sold. And she is counterclaiming for two things: for that car, the property that was in that car, because she said she had a whole bunch of things in that car, including a $500 television set, which I don't believe for a second. And she says that you assaulted her at some point, and she'll tell me about that. So she wants damages for that. So show me the tickets that were accrued on this truck.
Would you like the receipts that I paid the tickets?
No,
or the
I want to
actual
see
tickets?
that they were on the truck.
They were not on the truck. I never said they were on the truck. I said that her record, the truck is under my name and her name. So when she gets tickets, no matter what vehicle she's driving, that affects the record under my truck. When I went to renew my tag in 2006, they said she has unpaid tickets and a suspended license. You cannot renew your registration. I said, well, what do I have to do to fix this? They said she has to pay. She has to get her record cleared because her name is under the truck. So I offered to pay half.
Just a second.
Yes.
Christopher Lothridge says ex-wife Carolise Lothridge owes for unpaid parking tickets. Carolise is countersuing for stolen property and an assault.
So this has nothing to do with your truck. The parking ticket she got was on a car, a Toyota.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to the Toyota?
When we separated, which was October 14th, 2005, I gave her 2 months. I said, if you get a job and you take over the payments, you can have the car. 2 months went by. She never got a job. I continued to make the payments for a car that I didn't drive, I didn't have anything to do with. So I decided, and it was all legal because the car was under my name as well. I went and got the car with my own key, and yes, I sold the car because I didn't want to keep making payments and insurance payments on a
Who'd
vehicle
you sell it
that...
to?
Huh?
Is not an answer.
I'm sorry. I had a private dealer sell it.
Did you pay off the loan?
Yes.
In full?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any profit?
I
is not an answer.
Yes, I had a profit of $2,000 that I ended up putting back into my truck because my transmission...
I don't care whether you had put it back into your truck or not. That's so you pay your parking tickets out of it. She's not paying your parking tickets. You took her mode of transportation, you sold it, you made a $2,000 profit, and now you're fetching about some parking tickets that you wanted to pay for a couple $100? Pay them yourself. Pay them yourself.
I did pay him.
Good. Did you give her back half the $2,000?
No.
Why not?
Because I
That's
didn't
joint
have to.
property. That's marital property.
I didn't have to.
You didn't have to? I don't have to order her to pay for your parking tickets. You don't have to? Of course you don't have to, but you had key. You went and got her mode of transportation. You sold it. Now, if you said to me, I sold it and I lost money because the loan outstanding on her car was more than I got for it when I sold it, I'd be sympathetic to you. You made a profit. And you didn't say, well, because I made a profit, these were vehicles that we had together, so that the court in 2007, when you divorced, couldn't grant her ownership of one car. You got one, she got none. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You got the truck, she got no wheels because you had sold it at a profit.
Your Honor, if I did not sell the car, she would have not made payments on it.
Well,
It
and
would
you
have
know
come
something?
back.
If I had taller parents, I would have been 5'7".
It would have come back on my credit.
If I had taller parents, I would have been 5'7". Bottom line is, the objective fact is, you sold her car at a profit. That is joint property, and you chose not to give her half the property. So stop complaining that you had to pay a few $100s in parking tickets. That's your problem. Now, that was in 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't want to hear any nonsense about the $500 television that was in your Toyota Corolla when he stole it. Because if he stole your $500 television set, you would have complained to the judge who didn't finalize a decree until 2007. Wouldn't you have?
I actually did, and the judge just asked him, you know, where's the TV? And he said he didn't have it.
So it's already been adjudicated. So
Your Honor.
if it's been adjudicated once, it can't be adjudicated again.
Okay.
What?
In our final divorce, what she's talking about, February 20th, 2007, she brought up the car, she brought up the materials in the car, she brought up everything she's talking about, and the judge adjudicated it.
Listen, weren't you paying attention? You get nothing. You didn't do the right thing initially. When you took her car, you should have given her half the profit, because that's marital profit. You kept the $2,000 for yourself and put it in your truck. Nice. And then you have the audacity to come to court and ask for the parking tickets on the truck. Goodbye. Have a good life. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's no big deal. It's over with. I go home, move on with my life. It's not going to stress me out none.
I never got anything out of anything, and he got everything, so what's $400?
Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Peterson, the defendant is your former mother-in-law.
Correct.
You were married to her son for how long?
6 years.
And he, according to what I've read, died suddenly.
Yes.
When did he pass away?
July 5th, 2005.
And what was the cause of death?
It's a cerebral hemorrhage, but the cause of that, the underlying cause was drug abuse.
No, it was not.
I have a copy
it,
of Your
that,
Honor.
Your Honor.
I wasn't asking you anything.
I understand.
It is your claim that the defendant called in a report to Child Protective Services.
Yes.
Against you. It was false,
yes.
And you want to be compensated.
Correct.
The defendant says that she never placed that call, and you seem to indicate that you are going to be able to prove to me that
yes.
she did. She also complains that she no longer sees her grandson, despite the fact that there was a time when she did see him regularly. Okay. When did you find out that a call was placed to Child Protective Services?
It was March of 2007, March 1st, actually. It was called in 228.
22807?
Yes.
And how did you find out that this call was placed?
The worker put the note in my doorway.
And asked you to call?
Yes.
And you did?
Yes.
Was there an investigation?
Yes.
Do you have the results of that investigation?
Yes, I do. Unsubstantiated.
Now, Ms. Marmoleo, you did not call Child...
Not, Your Honor.
Okay, and you know nothing about how Child Protective Services was contacted?
Yes, I do. Patrick called me.
Just a second.
Okay.
Patrick is your grandson?
No, Patrick is witness on Kim's side.
Who is this?
That's my boyfriend.
Okay. The boyfriend called you and
told me, forget taking Dante to school tomorrow. He said, we have a DCF appointment. He said, you and one of your old cronies probably called DCF. I knew nothing about it, so help me God. I went to school the next day.
What are you doing at child's school?
I have volunteered at all the schools for many, many years, besides my work.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went to school to see the principal, and I asked her, I said, what's the situation? I heard from Patrick.
You cannot tell me what the principal told you.
All right. She said...
You can't... What words
I'm
did
sorry.
you understand? You cannot tell me what the principal said to you.
I found out that the school
You can't tell me what you found out.
That's how I found out, though. I did not call.
I did not call.
I did email.
You did not, just a second, you did not call, is what you said.
Not.
And you had no knowledge of it until the plaintiff's boyfriend called you and said, you're not taking the child to school anymore because of you, we have an appointment with Protective Services.
Your Honor.
This is dated March 21st. They are closing the investigation because the allegations were unsubstantiated.
Correct.
Do you have what the allegations were?
I have the report where it says clearly that she had called. And
I'd like to see that. That's very important.
And
that's an email from...
That's the reports from DCF.
Investigation protocol. Well, it is perfectly clear that you called the worker.
Absolutely.
You're perfectly clear that you called the worker and made this report.
I did not call DCF initially. I swear to you I did not.
I don't care whether you called initially. It says that you called them.
I called
March 2nd.
After the fact because I was being blamed by Patrick, and I wanted to be sure to clear myself. I also wanted to tell the person at DCF...
We need help and quick.
Yes.
Before that woman takes the child away again.
Absolutely. She had done that before.
That has nothing to do with you.
Dante was frightened to me. He cried twice. I swear to you, Your Honor. May I tell you the story?
Just a second. First of all, you can't lie to me.
I'm not lying.
Well, you did.
Absolutely
You did. You
not.
absolutely did.
I did not make the initial call, Your Honor.
I didn't use the word initial.
I did.
Listen to me. I didn't use the word initial.
Well,
I said, did you call Child Protective Services? You said no. And it's clear to me from reading this exactly what happened. You spoke to the principal, and the principal called, and you followed up with Mr. Haas.
May I explain?
There's no question in my mind that that happened, madam.
Yes.
And there's no question in my mind that it happened because, according to you, your grandson was crying because he said, Mommy's going to move away. And you didn't want him to move away because you've taken over his education, you pay for his school in a private school, and you get to see him regularly. And according to you, which is what you just told me, she had taken him away once before, and you weren't going to have that situation happen again. That's what you said in your email. That's exactly what you said in your email.
If you allow me, I can explain that to you. 2 days prior to the principal calling, Miss Peterson went to the playground and said to the teacher, Dante should be able to call me anytime he wants.
To visit my son.
No, just
sorry.
Listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. You got to keep it together.
I'm sorry.
Say it to me again, just the way you just said it to me.
She said to the teacher, allow Dante to call me anytime he wants.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely. They have no problem with that.
I don't like the way you said it.
That's how she said it.
Do you understand? I don't like the way you said it. You said it as if she was saying something wrong.
That's how she approached them. Then she went into the office with a handwritten note, Your Honor, saying that Patrick would be the guardian.
That's this gentleman.
Right. That has only been in Dante's life a few months. The school felt that was highly unlikely. I wouldn't shoot myself in the foot and do that because she quickly would take our grandparent rights away. And would you please?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Come back and could you come
No, just a second.
I want you to hear something.
Just a second. You're not following me. Stop shaking, Miss Peterson. Listen to me. I get it. It's sad and unfortunate, but I get it.
Can I show you one thing, please? Your Honor, down here where Dante was being interviewed by the social worker, it says Dante, and this is alone by himself outside. Dante reported that grandmother Marmolejo does not like his mother. Dante stated that Marmolejo calls his mother stupid and says her butt smells.
I never said such a thing, so help
Dante's
me God.
questioned all this. It's right down the bottom here. Where it says interview with Dante.
Ms.
Well, Dante
Peterson.
said it.
I
Miss Peterson,
never say
listen to
anything
me.
like that.
Listen to me.
My God,
there is
what
no
lies.
question in my mind that the defendant inspired, precipitated the call to Child Protective Services. You her husband?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Pay careful attention.
You need to say that.
It's not her fault that your son died. You have a grandson that I assume you want to see, and your wife is making all the wrong calls with regard to whether or not you're going to continue to be in your grandson's life. There is no question in my mind that no court will take your grandson away from his mother and turn him over to you. Nobody is going to do that. And listen to me. And the only thing that you and your wife can do is to stay on her good side, which you haven't done. So you better have a really good talk with her.
Judge Kim Peterson claims her mother-in-law, Rose Marmolejo, made false accusations to Child Protective Services. Rose says Kim is keeping her from seeing her grandson.
Now, when one parent dies and the other parent is left and hooks up with somebody new, that's an irritant. And she's allowed to say, pay careful attention to me. She's the mother. She is allowed to say, if there's an emergency, you call my boyfriend who will come and take care of my child. You may not like it. That's too bad. She's the mother. That's
everything the way it occurred, Your Honor.
Hey, listen to me. You just said to me, you started to tell me the story. I got it. Don't you understand? I've been in this business a long time. You were absolutely furious.
After the school already made the initial call.
Listen to me. Madam, I got you. You were furious that you went into school.
That's not true.
You just told me.
I was not furious, Your Honor.
You were furious that you went into school
and
changed the guardian to him. That's what you just told me.
That's why the school got upset. They did. I did not. Would you please step forward?
Absolutely, positively not. School doesn't get upset. School may have said to you, that's strange.
Not true.
But 2 days later, you called up and said, we need help quick. And before that woman takes that child away again, please call me ASAP so we can talk.
Dante
Dr.
cried
Kingston,
about that.
What? That's you.
He cried to me about that, Your Honor. So help me God. He did.
So as a result of that, you spoke to Child Protective Services?
The principal told him the Thursday after.
Tell me what the principal told him at all. It's hearsay. I'm telling you what the official report from Child Protective Services says. Your conversation with them.
That's after.
I don't care if it's after or before.
They made the call initially.
Miss Peterson?
Yes.
You have to take control.
I have.
Listen to me. You have to understand something. You allowed her to put your son in a private school where she pays the tuition and she volunteers. First mistake.
You're right. It was a big mistake.
First mistake. He's got to be out of that school, and he's got to be at a place where, if his grandmother wants to see him, there is a specific time that she gets to see him that you control. But you can't take with one hand, which is what you did, and you did it for the sake of your child,
Yes.
I assume,
Yes.
because he was going to a private school that perhaps you couldn't afford. But absolutely a bad idea.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely a bad idea. She cannot have any control about what happens in your home. And you've given her that control,
Yes.
and you have to take it back if you haven't done it already.
Yeah, well, it's over.
Okay,
Can I
fine.
say
So
one-
he no longer goes to that school.
No.
Perfect. Because if you give them an inch,
I
and
treated
you may
her
be,
lovingly.
you may be Mother of the Year, you may not be Mother of the Year, but he's your son. And
Thank
once
you.
you give these people an inch, they're going to take a whole yard. Do it until they get it, that you're his mother and that you raise him. They had the opportunity to raise their son, good or bad.
She knows
Made
I have always
mistakes,
been good to
made
her.
mistakes or not make mistakes. Being good is not embroiling him in problems. And I absolutely find that this call was precipitated by you, and it was false, and it was based on the fact that you were afraid she was moving. Judgment for the
Absolutely
plaintiff
not.
in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step out.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope this sends a message to other grandparents that might try to do this.
None of this is true. I swear to you.
You can't.
Miss Rubel, Miss Ober is your ex-boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
And there came a time in 2006, I believe, that you had difficulty at home.
Yes.
And you went to live with Miss Ober.
Yes, Your Honor.
And during that time, you allowed Miss Ober to open up utility accounts in your name.
It was actually when I was at school at Eastern Kentucky University when I allowed her to open gas and electric in my name.
When you were at school, you were not living with her?
No.
So you had already spent time in her house?
Yes.
So you had spent about a year in her house?
No, it was about 3 months.
That's not true.
How long was it?
She moved in February of 2006. Remainder of her senior year of high school, stayed the whole summer at my house.
Okay.
Also went to EKU, and I picked her up every weekend, every Friday.
But it was while you were at school that she opened the accounts with your permission in your name. Put that folder down, please. And it is your claim that two things. A, that she didn't pay those bills. And second, that she also opened up a cable account using your name, and that you did not give her permission to open.
No, I did not.
And that there is an outstanding bill on that. You
Yes.
want her to take care of all the bills.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's not true.
Just
Again,
a
that's
second.
not true.
Just a second. Ms. Ober says, well, she had your permission to open the account. She didn't think that it was a big deal to open up the cable account, and she's counterclaiming because she says you should pay her for all the money she expended while you were living with her on you. So, Ms. Ober, I'm going to deal with that first. You had no contract with Miss Rubel when she moved in that she was going to compensate you for any money that you gave her. There's no indication in your counterclaim. So in order to have a contract, you have to have an agreement. You had no agreement with her.
We had a verbal agreement.
No, you didn't. That's absolutely not true. If you had a verbal agreement, you would have said so in your answer. And you would have said so in your counterclaim, that you had an agreement that when she graduated from college or whatever, she was going to pay you back for all the money you laid out for her. You don't mention that at all. You want me to read you what you say?
No. At the end of it, I said she agreed to pay back in payment. I do believe, I thought.
You say, the plaintiff stayed in my home from February 2006 until February of 07. That is not true. That is not true.
She was away at college for 3 months and then moved back into my home. I moved her to college and moved her back home from college to my home.
Was she living with you continuously from February 2006 until February 2007?
No, ma'am.
Okay. She moved into your home because she was staying with her aunt and they had a big fight. Even though Tiffany and her aunt later made up, Tiffany begged and pleaded for me to let her stay with me. I took her to and from school. I moved her down to Kentucky to go to college. I gave her lunch money, paid for her prom dress. Even though my son was a freshman, it was her senior prom. I paid for basically everything. So, because if there was an agreement, you had plenty of paper there to say there was an agreement. So you can't make an agreement where there was none. Now, you want to tell me why you opened up utility accounts in her name?
I have the letter that she took to the CG&E company where she opened it up from the landlord.
Why? Why didn't you open it up?
Because I had outstanding bills that couldn't be paid at that point in time. I didn't have the money. I have 3 children and was getting no child support. My ex-boyfriend and I were arguing. It was a bad environment for her, myself, and my children.
Yes.
We had to get out. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Had to get out.
Well, just tell me what she said to you and what you said to her.
I got into an argument with my ex-boyfriend. I was crying. There was chaos. The house was tore up from fighting and carrying on, and she came to me crying and said that we could move out of here. I said, I can't get the electric in my name or the cable because I have an outstanding bill. I was working on paying them. I have paid them off. Everything is in my name.
Well, what about the bills that she's getting now, Miss Ober?
Because she agreed to pay them when we moved out.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't, Miss Ober. I don't even have to ask her that. She said, I'll help you out. If you can't put them in your name, put them in my name.
That's also not true. I didn't offer. She asked me.
That's not true.
Why didn't you pay the bills?
Because I was paying all the bills. I paid the rent, I paid the food, I paid for her clothes, I paid for her to go to a Bengals-Steelers game, I paid for everything under the sun for her. And when I couldn't pay for her to do the things that she wanted to do, go shopping and do all the other things,
well, just
then she moved out.
Miss Ober, when she was living with you, where was she working?
At Photolab at Kroger's, and then she got a job at a restaurant.
When she was living with you, she was working at Photolab? Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
No, actually it's not. I was working at the Village of Addison in the clerk's office.
I didn't understand a word you just said.
In the Village of Addison for the clerk.
And what were you doing with the money that you were earning?
I paid for a lot of prom, too.
You paid for a lot of prom. What else did you pay for?
I paid for lunch sometimes, and that's probably about it.
And what about the ex-boyfriend? What does he do?
He's in high school.
He's 16 years old.
Okay. Very good. Can I see the bills, please?
Yes.
And when you moved in with Miss Ober, you were in high school?
Yes. Here's everything.
I would like to also say something. Her aunt, when she moved out of her house, received child support from her mother and father for her while she lived in my home.
You should have sued her aunt.
And Tiffany is still on a Medicaid card through Ohio and is not living in Ohio. She lives in Indiana. She works at the BP in Indiana.
Miss Ober, first of all, the second part was vicious. First part of what you just told me was really your fault. If she was living with you and you were supporting her and somebody else was getting support for her from her parents, you should have marched right into family court and said the support should come to me, not to somebody else.
Well, I'm not going to fight a year and a half to get money that is not going to come to me anyway.
But this money is money that you owe. You owe money for the utilities.
No, she was living in my home. She agreed to pay them.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe for a second that she agreed to pay them. If she agreed to pay them, she wouldn't have let them build up like this.
It was 2 months of service.
Right. I know that you're accustomed to not paying your bills, but somebody who's just starting out in life is not accustomed to not paying their bills. You know you didn't pay your bills. That's why you couldn't put the utilities on in your name.
Because I had an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't let me get ahead.
Listen to me. It's always somebody else's fault. Is that what you're saying
to
me?
No, I'm not.
It's the ex-boyfriend's fault. It's her fault. It's the aunt's fault.
No, I tried to contact her aunt to take her back home. She wouldn't talk to me.
It's always somebody else's fault. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
You're a victim. Well, you'll always
I'm
be
a victim of a 19-year-old.
You'll always be a victim. Unless you're prepared to take responsibility for your own actions, you're always going to be a victim.
Judge Judy says her ex-boyfriend's mother, Angela Ober, owes for unpaid utility bills. Angela claims Tiffany is ungrateful for the help she's given her.
So, Miss Ober, when I said to you that you didn't pay your bills, which is why they had to be put in her name, the answer is you didn't pay your bills. Not that your ex-boyfriend didn't let you get ahead. If you're a big enough girl to make 3 children, that's what you have, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're big enough to get away from an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't let you get ahead. Not soon enough to pay your bills.
You know, I took her in the kindness of my heart. You know, and then after she moved out, her other aunt said to me, Tiffany goes wherever Tiffany's going to reap the benefit.
So whose fault was that?
I guess mine, and it'll never happen again.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $886. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was 18 years old, and I helped her, and she agreed to pay the bills and didn't.
I got the money back that I deserved.
She was out on the street, basically, with nowhere to live because her aunt chose not to let her come back home.
I did move back home, actually, in June of 2006, and I stayed there until I went to college.
Never. Again, will I let someone come into my home?
I trusted her, and she lied.
Not again. I won't trust anyone.
I'm not really selfish.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Trammell versus Moore Barclay. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Christopher Trammell is suing his stepfather-in-law, Orlando Moore, and his son, 16-year-old Kendall Barclay, for the cost to fix his Chevy Blazer.
Mr. Trammell, I assume it's this young man who is your wife's half-brother?
Yes.
And you're his father?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, this young man, whose name is?
Kendall,
came for a visit.
Yes.
visiting his sister, and you opened your house and said, sure, he can stay with us. It was during a holiday period?
Well, the February recess.
And while he was there, without your permission, he took your car and he crashed it.
Yes.
You want his father to be responsible for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
And his father said, you know that he's nothing but trouble and that you should have watched him more carefully.
Well...
That's his defense. Why don't you sit down for a moment, sir? I'll get to you in a minute. Kendall! Are your hands in your pockets?
No.
Perfect. How old are you?
16.
Do I make you nervous?
No.
It's unfortunate. I will try to change that. Why would your father say that you're trouble?
I am.
What do you mean you are?
Sometimes I make trouble.
You make trouble at home?
No.
Where?
On the streets.
But you've never been in trouble with the police.
No.
You're lucky. Now, why did you decide to go to visit your sister?
Because I wanted to spend time with my nephew.
I don't understand you when you're mumbling. Make believe you're outside talking to your friends.
I wanted to spend time with my nieces and nephews.
That's a good thing. How did you get there?
Chris picked me up.
Your sister's husband?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So he's a pretty nice guy?
Yeah.
So he's a pretty nice guy?
Yeah.
So he's a pretty nice guy?
No.
Yes. Say yes.
Yes.
Do you have a driver's license?
No.
What does that mean to you when you don't have a driver's license?
Can't drive.
Tell me about when you took his car.
Well, they were sleeping when I took their car.
They were sleeping, so it was late at night.
Yes.
Where were you going?
I wanted to ride up to Wegmans.
I don't understand a word you said.
I wanted to ride to Wegmans.
Wanted to ride to Wegmans. And where did you get the keys from?
They're on the entertainment system.
So you stole the keys?
Yes.
And you stole the car?
Yes.
And what happened?
I drove up to Wegmans. I came back.
I don't hear you.
I drove up to Wegmans and then I came back. I was going to park the car because my brother, he parks in a certain spot.
I don't hear you.
I drove the car to Wegmans and I came back. And then I wanted to get in the driveway. So I was parked in the wrong spot, so I had to move it. I went and moved the car and then I took off and then it hit the next door neighbor's house.
You hit the next door neighbor's house?
Yes.
What did you do?
I didn't do nothing and the cops came. So then they asked me a few questions and I answered them.
Now you can stand up. Does your son go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Does he have a job?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
He is currently looking for employment.
Well, when was the last time he had employment?
He is 16 years old. There's only very few jobs in Rochester for a 16-year-old to do.
So let me ask you this question, sir. Who do you think is responsible for him?
To be honest, when Christopher came to my address and picked Kendall up, I figured he assumed full responsibility.
Yes. He wasn't supposed to see that anything happened to him, but let's say that your son, while he was visiting with his sister and her husband, committed a burglary. Would that have been his fault?
Yes, ma'am.
No. 16-year-old boy who's almost as big as his father knows the difference between right and wrong, and one way or another, sir, you have to teach him a lesson. And what lesson is he learning this here? He wasn't arrested.
No.
So there were no repercussions from the justice system, right?
As far as I know,
so what
yes.
lesson do you think this whole process is teaching your son?
I think he's pretty much learned his lesson. That
Why? What has he had to do as a result of this?
He's gotten most of his privileges taken away.
What privileges did he have taken away?
No computer, no...
No computer. What else?
He has his PlayStation and iPod taken away from him.
Taking away someone's iPod, sir, is not exactly punishment for destroying this man's car.
See, Kendall has an ADDH situation.
So do 40% of the children, according to statistics in this country.
Well,
they don't steal cars. They don't steal cars.
They do.
Yeah, so do a lot of people without ADHD steal cars. You know, don't give him an excuse, Mr. Moore. You give him an excuse for doing the wrong thing, that he's ADHD, and I guarantee you, you're going to be looking for trouble forever. Forever. ADHD has nothing to do with stealing cars. He wanted to go to a store. He took the car to go to a store. He knew he had no right to take the car to go to a store. That has nothing to do with ADHD.
Well,
that has to do with doing the wrong thing.
That's the frame of mind. That's why he takes the medication, so it keeps his mind focused off of things like this.
I have 11 grandchildren, sir. I reared and helped rear 5 children. I know all about this ADHD stuff. And I know all about parents who will make excuses for their children's bad behavior and ascribe it to a learning disability. So if that's, believe me, he was focusing on getting the keys and going to the store. Believe me. You're going to pay him, and he's going to pay you. And then there is a reaction to his action. And I guarantee you, sir, that's as good as any medication he takes.
So there's...
Any medication he takes.
So there's no responsibility on his side at all?
It would be different if he threw him the keys and said, take the car and go to the store.
I wasn't there.
He just told me what happened. He waited until they went to sleep, and then he went to the entertainment center where the keys were kept, and he took the keys. He told me that. Not him. You make excuses for him, sir. You're going to find yourself before a judge much more frequently than the one time you're going to appear before me. And you give him the excuse of having ADHD for excuse for bad behavior, you are committing a terrible,
it's not an
terrible.
Excuse.
It's an excuse. One thing had nothing to do with the other with regard to his taking that truck that day. And if you give him an excuse, you are parentally doing him a terrible disservice. I, however, am doing him a service. Because unless you want to be out $4,500 yourself, what you're going to do is you're going to have him get a job, and every penny that he earns he's going to give you until the $4,500 is paid off. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,500.
Yeah, I think that he should have been watched a little more.
So I didn't think I had to be up 24 hours to watch him.
In the future, I don't think he'll be going over to his sisters.
He knows when I told him to go to bed, he knows that he should have been in the bed.
Ms. Lager, these two young men used to be friends of yours, and it is your claim that some time ago they vandalized your car while they were probably drunk, acting like fools. What's your last name?
Boots.
And yours?
Boots.
Are you brothers?
Yes, we are.
The Boots brothers?
Yep. Yeah.
You ought to make a movie out of it. Boots brothers. They say it wasn't them. When did this happen, Miss Lager?
On my 21st birthday, June 3rd, 2006.
And where was your car at the time?
It was at my boyfriend's mother's house, now the Foley's.
That would be you?
Yes.
Could you stand up? Because you weren't there.
Correct, I was not there.
When had you parked your car in front of your boyfriend's mother's house?
Well, I was letting her borrow it for quite some time because her vehicle was getting fixed at the time.
What kind of car did you have?
It's a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
Could you keep your voice up? I'm old.
It was a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
What is that?
It's a four-door silver
Nabira?
vehicle. Nabira.
Where is that made?
I believe Korea, but I'm not sure.
I never heard of it. I'm so pleased that you didn't. I'm sure it's a lovely car.
It was a lovely car.
Ms. Foley, do you remember June 3rd, 2006?
Yes.
I knew you were home on June 3rd, 2006.
Yes.
Which one of the Boots boys is going to speak?
I will.
And what is your first name?
Brent.
And yours?
My name's Nick.
No, I think I want Nick to speak. Now, Nick, how far do you live from Miss Foley?
Only like 2 blocks.
You have any reason to be near Miss Foley's house?
Friends with their kid.
Keep your voice up, Nick.
I'm best friends with their son.
What's her son's name?
Bart.
Is that person here today?
Nah, he's not.
Your younger brother?
Yeah, it was my younger brother.
How long have you been friends?
Since I was like 2.
Tell me about June 2006.
Well,
No. Don't look there. Don't look there.
Well, we were at her house and... Sorry. We were at her house, like, having a party or whatever, chilling. Just a get-together, I could
How many
say.
people were there?
Just like 4 of us.
Which 4? The 2 Boots boys?
Her. And then my girlfriend was there. And then her son was there.
There were 5 of you there. That would be 5. Let's count
Or
them.
other than me.
Nick, you want to count them? That would be 5 altogether, right? And when had you started chilling?
I'm not sure what time it was.
Around 9 or so, I'd say. 8 or 9.
And then what happened, Nick?
We were just drinking and whatnot, and then we left.
Drinking. What were you drinking?
Vodka,
Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe.
No! Don't speak unless I speak to you. I want Nick. Don't speak. Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe it was from her, because it was
From
her
who?
21st birthday. Jessica.
Was she home?
No.
Well, where did you get the vodka from?
We met up with them earlier on that day.
And she gave you a bottle of vodka?
Well, we She purchased it for us. We gave her the money.
So you gave Miss Lager the cash, and she went into a liquor store and purchased how much vodka?
A liter.
A liter. That's a big bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And what were you mixing the liter with?
We were just taking shots and drinking pop.
Shots and pop.
Shots and pop, yes.
And then what happened?
Nothing. We all had fun, and then once the night was over, we all went home.
And didn't see Miss Lager's car?
No.
Miss Lager, did you purchase vodka for them?
No, I did not. No, I do not purchase vodka for underage minors.
Why do you think they would make up that kind of story?
To make it look good for themselves?
Nah. They could have just said, they found it. So I believe that you purchased it for them.
It was my 21st birthday. Why would I purchase alcohol for them?
I have no idea, because they were with your boyfriend's little brother.
I wasn't even near them all day. I was with my mother all day.
Okay. Miss Foley, tell me what you saw on June 3rd with regard to the Boots boys and Miss Lager's car.
I was at home. My son Bartley came up late that night and said, Mother, Brent and Nick are out kicking in Jesse's car. You need to come out and make him stop. So I went down. I looked out the landing. Brent was on the hood of the car, the roof of the car. So I went down 2 more flights stairs. By the time I got out there, Brent was off of the car, standing by the passenger mirror. Nick was standing in front of the car trying to kick the headlight. And to me that he had kicked the headlight and it didn't break. And Brent said he kicked the mirror off, but it didn't come off all the way. And I asked him why they were doing that, and they were mad at Jessica, I guess, at the time. So
why were you mad at Jessica?
Jessica, but
Well, tell me why you were mad at her. I just want to know why you were mad at her.
stole a digital camera from my ex-girlfriend out of our house.
Oh, then I don't believe that she bought you alcohol. There you go. See what happened? If you were mad at her, why would you give her money to buy you alcohol on the same day?
She was always around anyways.
Oh.
'Cause I used to be best friends with him over there, her boyfriend.
We all hung out every day.
Now, she's the mother of your really good friend, right?
Yes.
So you know her for a long time.
Most of my
You
life.
go to her house? Put your hand down. You go to her house?
Every day, practically.
She sometimes gives you a sandwich? You know?
I eat over there occasionally, I could say.
So you think there's any reason why she would lie about you?
No, I wouldn't see a reason why she would.
Why would she lie about her son's best friend, who she sees every day of his life, who she's very good to? Why would she lie about him?
I don't know.
Do you understand my problem here, Nick?
Yes, I do.
You know where I'm coming from?
Sort of, yeah.
Are you twins?
No.
Who's older?
I'm older.
What about your older brother here? Did he ever go over to Miss Foley's house?
Yep.
Eat at her house?
We didn't really know much people in the area, so we were there all the time.
And Miss Foley was always nice to you?
Most of the time, yes.
Can you think of any reason why she would tell such a horrendous lie about you vandalizing a car that she was driving? Huh?
Maybe because Jessica's going to give her some money for it or something.
Yeah. Then you would have to say that she's a liar and a thief.
She is.
Miss Foley?
Oh, not Miss Foley, but Jessica.
I'm talking about Miss Foley.
No, she's not a
Miss
thief.
Foley is the one who identified you, not Miss Lager. You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar?
On this
Nick!
bit, yes.
You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar? You followed your brother.
Yeah.
No, say this. Miss Foley, you're a liar.
I wish she wouldn't lie, that's what
Uh-huh. Evidently, you were a better friend than your older brother, because you couldn't say it.
Judge Judy continued. Jessica Lager says former friends Brent and Nick Boots vandalized her car by jumping on the hood and kicking the doors.
Now, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to fess up. Now, it's possible that you two morons don't remember, because you were drinking a liter of vodka, what you did on the night of June 3rd. That's possible. How old are you?
I'm 19.
And you?
21.
Can I see an estimate on fixing your car and photographs, please? Are you still friendly with her younger son?
Not really.
Was he also involved? Well, you don't know. Was your youngest son involved in this?
he didn't, nope.
Was he? Just a second.
No, he did not do anything to the car.
Did you want to say something?
I was going to say I thought you were talking about him, but I am friends with her younger son, yes.
No, I asked if her younger son did anything to this car.
He wasn't there. He was upstairs the whole time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you hear what he said? He said, no, he wasn't there. He was upstairs all the time. He just let him go and go and go, and after a while, they just, you know.
They'll sign off.
They just sign off on it, right?
It was in an accident.
Yeah, her car was in an accident before that, and it was all dented, and she was trying to say that we did all that when it couldn't
How
possibly.
much did you do?
I didn't do nothing.
Well, yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Now, if you said to me, listen, we got a little drunk, and we acted stupid around the car, but a lot of this damage was done before.
This stuff happens all the time in our area.
What, that you jump on the hood of a car?
No.
Vandalism.
I asked you a question. Your brother couldn't say it. If Miss Foley identified you two boys who were lifelong friends of one of her children, there would have to be a reason. Because when people identify someone who's caused damage to their property, they want the right people punished. They don't want the wrong people punished. They want the right people to pay for the damage. Now, if she had some axe to grind with you, I could understand it. But you've given me no motive for her to lie about it.
She wasn't even there. This is completely false and erroneous. And
yeah, no, you're erroneous.
No.
You're erroneous and irrelevant. Erroneous and irrelevant.
And the car's not even worth that much to begin with.
You're absolutely right. How much did you pay for the car?
Around $7,000.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you $11,000 to fix it.
No, I don't.
No. You could go buy yourself a new car.
Car can't even drive down the road straight. You let go of the wheel and you'll
Listen,
be in
you
the
couldn't
ditch.
walk straight. That's not up to you, young man. That's not up to you. When you damage somebody's property, you take it as you take it. That's it. And when you act like a fool, that's why they don't let people drink until they're 21 years old, because even 21-year-olds are morons. 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds are double morons. They shouldn't even be allowed out of the house after 9 o'clock at night. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's scandalous and she's money hungry.
I was asking like $1,500 to begin with, and they said I was shady for asking $1,500.
They got money that they shouldn't have got.
Jessica's a thief. She took his digital camera from his girlfriend, and she walked out of the grocery store with 2 rotisserie chickens.
I'm just surprised that the boys said that they didn't do it.
It's ruining a long friendship. Not going to talk to her.
Just make sure you trust the people, because I trusted them. And
Mr. Heath, Mrs. Coleman is your neighbor, and this is her son.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
You are 17.
Yes, ma'am.
But large for your age.
Yes.
And it is your claim that Miss Coleman's son assaulted you.
Assault and battery, ma'am.
Depends on where you live. And you want to be compensated. And Miss Coleman and her son say that you started it, and he just finished it. So, I'm going to start with you. What's your first name?
Marquise.
How long have you and Mr. Heath been neighbors?
I don't know how long he's lived there, but I lived there for 2 years.
How long have you been there, Mr. Heath?
Since May of 2006.
So a little less than a year.
Affirmative.
A year. Have you gotten along for that year that you've been living there?
Up until recently.
What happened recently, Mr. Heath?
On April 25th of 2007, I was outside my door. Mr. Peppers was also outside his door. He was calling me a pedophile. He was saying I should never, never, never say the name of his little sister. I admit I may have started behavior that was more of an interest to a proctologist. But
I don't know what you mean by that, sir.
I was upset that being called a pedophile after 30 years of being here in California.
So he was calling you names and told you never to mention the name of his sister. What did you say to him?
Well, he challenged his authority by claiming that if I said the name of his sister one more time, that he would beat me down. Being that I was very upset because of the general rumor within the neighborhood of me being a pedophile, I did say her name. Her name is Sanji.
And then what happened?
I repeated it a few times as he came
So you taunted
closer.
him. You were a grown-up.
Yes, I was an angry
You were a
grown-up.
grown-up. You were an angry grown-up.
Yes.
And he had called you a vile name.
Quite,
ahead.
especially when I have no record anywhere.
I understand you have no record anywhere.
Okay.
Got it. So You were taunting him, and what did he do?
He pushed me, and then, you know...
How did he push you, Mr. Heath?
I do believe, I will take his word for it, that he belly bumped me.
Okay.
I turned to catch myself, and I was struck on the back. I cannot say exactly if it was him or his friend LJ, but I did sustain an injury to my back. He was right next to him, shoulder to shoulder.
So they both came over to you after you had repeated his sister's name several times?
Affirmative.
And he belly bumped you. When you turned around, somebody hit you in the back.
Yes, well, turning around in that, I was trying to catch myself as I was falling.
And as a result of that, were you injured?
Yes, I have a report from my chiropractor that I have injuries from T6, that's thoracic spine vertebrae 6 to 7. These were significant enough for me not to be able to work for 2 months, which I have documentation from my employer of such.
All right, Mr. Pep, let me hear you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. On the day of the incident, the day before, we had got into like 2 days before we got into an argument.
About what?
I was sitting outside because my friend stayed next door to him. And I was sitting outside talking to them, and then my sister...
Talking to whom?
My friends that stay next door to him. And so I'm sitting outside, and then my mom calls me, and she sent my sister to come get me. And my sister comes, and she says, Marquise, your mom wants you. And then so he reaches over, and she's in between these stairs. And he reaches over and pats her on the head. And I say, man, don't touch my sister.
Why not?
Because, like, I don't know what it is, but ever since he's moved there, I've been, like, you know, real uncomfortable around him. And he's like, he acts real... you know, friendly and stuff towards kids, like, you know, little girls. And I just, with my sister, I keep, you know, I'm overprotective about my sister. And so...
But he just touched her on the top of the head.
I know, but it was like the way how he did it. Like, you know, he rubbed his hand through her hair. And like, you know, and I didn't like the way it happened, but I wasn't disrespectful to him. I just said, can you don't touch my sister?
You said, don't touch my sister. That's all you said to him.
Yeah, but as I said that, my mom walked out, and I told her what happened. And then so they got into an argument. And
why did you get into an argument, Miss Coleman, with him?
As I walked out, I heard George yelling at my son, and all I heard was the end of the conversation. And I asked him,
what did you hear?
He was calling my son ignorant and a pervert for saying what he said or whatever.
Well, did you say anything to him?
I said, don't touch my sister's head, and he called me a pervert because he said that I was looking at him as that. Like, I don't know why he said it, but he just called me a pervert because I told him not to touch my sister.
And then?
That's when I came out.
Right.
And I heard them arguing, and my son said, George touched Sanji, and that's when I went to tell him he doesn't have to put his hands on her, do not touch her.
Did your son tell you how he touched her?
No, well,
why didn't you get that information, Miss Coleman?
I did. When I came over, he said he touched Sanji on the head. And right then, when she said he touched Sanji, I just verbally told him, you know, to keep his hands off my daughter and to come into our yard.
Okay. So that was a couple of days before.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened, Mr. Pepper?
And then the day of the incident, we were outside. You know, we played basketball and all of that outside. And George comes out and was playing the guitar to the little girl in the window. And I was just sitting there.
Playing a guitar?
Yeah, playing a guitar and singing to her. But he's sitting there playing a guitar to her, and that's not my relative or anything, so I didn't say anything about that. And somehow he got into an argument with other kids that was on the block, and so they were arguing, and somehow they said to him something about, oh, you touch kids and stuff. And he was like, yeah, I touch a lot of kids. And he started naming off kids on the street, like girls and stuff that he's touched. And then he somehow said Sanji's name, my sister. And then so that was when I got into the conversation. I asked him, I said, man, don't talk about my sister.
Did you call him a pedophile?
No, I've never called him a pedophile.
Did you call him a pervert?
No, I've never called him a pervert.
What did you call him?
I didn't call him anything. I just said, do not touch my sister.
Judge Judy's 17-year-old Marquise Peppers falsely accused him of being a pedophile and then assaulted him.
Okay. And what did he say to you?
And he got into an argument with me, calling me a pervert and that I'm immature and stuff because I'm calling him out on stuff. And I'm like, you know, I didn't say anything. All I said was, don't touch my sister. And then so we're sitting here, we're arguing. And I stepped back, and my friend was with me also, and he was talking to him. He was like, there's no need for you to say her name. And I pulled him back, and we're about to walk away. And George says it again. He was like, oh, what do you mean, Sanji? And I was like, don't say her name. And then so he takes off his glasses, and he untucks his shirt, and he steps up to me, and he says, what do you mean, Sanji? Sanji, Sanji? And so I had chest bumped him, and he you know, it was like a fake stumble type, and he just stumbled back and hit the wall and purposely fell to the ground. And he made a lot of like weird noise and stuff that, you know, you could tell that it was being act, and like some kids was laughing at him and stuff because he was acting it out. And his wife said, "I'm calling the police." And then so I looked at him, and then I turned around and my sister was calling me. So I turned around, picked up my sister, and then I told my friend, I was like, "Let's go." And then we walked to his house.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes, ma'am.
What facts do you have that suggest to you that Mr. Heath's intentions with regard to the kids who play in the neighborhood, either singing to them or patting your sister on the head, is anything other than just genuine caring for children?
It's because of the way that he does it. It's like it's real weird. You know, I don't feel comfortable around him, and for that, I don't feel that my sister should be around him. I've never been disrespectful.
Assaulted him, sir.
No, ma'am, but
yes, you
prior to the
did.
incident,
You assaulted him, sir. He was taunting you, which is not very smart of a grown-up man to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Not very smart to a big 17-year-old, you know, who certainly
that.
outweighs him and certainly outmuscles him. But you have no right to put your body on him in any way. You should have been smarter, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
but I had to confront the lie.
Mr. Heath, have you ever been arrested for a sexual offense on a child?
No, ma'am.
The next question is irrelevant, therefore, and you've never been convicted. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
You have any children of your own?
Yes, ma'am. We have 4 biological children and 1 foster child.
How old is the foster child?
She is 32.
So you raised her.
Affirmative.
And your 4 children, how old are they?
We have a boy who's now Sergeant George Heath of the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment. We have twin boys, Pete and Repeat. One is Staff Sergeant Joseph Heath of the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. Our other son is Specialist David Heath, who recently was last week was taken out by shrapnel in Baghdad, but he's doing just fine. He'll be in the United States today. And then my daughter, Rebecca Heath, she's 23. She's a certified nurse's aide and a senior in health administration.
Have any of these children visited your home?
Yes.
You live in your home with your wife?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
31 years, ma'am.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes, ma'am.
We are supposed to rejoice in the differences among people in this country. That means that not everybody is made the same.
I know that.
Some people say affirmative rather than yes. Some people may appear to be, to you, a little peculiar, but that doesn't make them a pervert.
No, ma'am,
That doesn't make them strange. That wouldn't inspire me to say to somebody who's the father of 4 children, don't put your hands on my sister. Now, if you said to me that he hit her in the behind or tapped her in the butt, I would say, go over there and you can knock his lights out. But what you told me was he patted her on the head, and you just didn't like the way that looked. And you went outside, and all you heard was your son saying to you, he touched your daughter, and you blew. You didn't listen. I think that what you have to do is celebrate the differences amongst people, Mr. Pepper. You have perfect right to say to your daughter, listen, I don't want you to go over to neighbors, strangers, or whatever. But your son has absolutely no business, despite the fact that Mr. Keith was not smart.
Yes, ma'am.
Has no right to go over there and chest bump him, belly bump him, or whatever other kind of bump him he did. His lawsuit asks for $1,700. He's going to get that. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is that he filed false charges against you with Child Protective Services. When did he file charges against you with Child Protective Services?
Per the letter, it says on 5/2 that there was an investigation.
And what makes you think that it was Mr. Heath who filed those charges?
Okay, when we went to court for our restraining order, that was denied. Mr. Heath subpoenaed the CP.
Who went to court for restraining? Granted?
No, they were both denied.
Oh, that's ridiculous. In my judgment, it's ridiculous. What grounds do you have to file for an application for a protective order against Mr. Heath?
Because when the incident happened, my daughter constantly goes over there, and it's like everywhere my daughter is, he's behind her. Like it's in a place that he goes across the street that my daughter plays at. He's never over there, never over there. But every time my daughter is over there, George is over there. You know what I'm saying? It's like it seems like everywhere my daughter is, I see George, normal places where he doesn't go. He's normally in his yard. Like he comes in my yard and uses the water hose. He was told by the judge, he was told by the police officers that he keeps calling on me to stay away from us. We were told to stay away from each other. I agreed. But he constantly, like if my daughter's in the yard, I don't let her out the yard because of the situation. I make her stay in the yard and ride the bike. George will come over, open the gate and use the water hose, or, you know, just do stuff to, you know, to have me try to have confrontation towards us.
What proof do you have that Mr. Heath called
I don't have proof that he called, but for our restraining order, he had all the information. How does he know that CPS came to my house? When we went to court, he filed a subpoena for the CPS worker to come to our restraining order. That's how I assumed that he called, because...
Did you have that information, Mr. Heath?
The reason I know that Ms. Johnson is a child protective worker is that she was at Ms. Coleman's door, and when I saw her, and I said, I don't think Ms. Coleman's there, she asked, you know, who are you? I identified myself and where I live, and then she identified herself, and we went into my apartment, and we had a discussion concerning, well, actually, one of the things we discussed is whether or not I am a pedophile. Obviously, I'm here, not arrested, so she felt there was no basis for the allegation that I'm a pedophile.
Did you make a call to Child Protective Services, sir?
Can I leave that under confidentiality?
See what I'm saying?
Well,
yes
you
or
see,
no? I'll answer if you,
well,
if you want me to.
The point is, Mr. Heath, if you had grounds in your judgment to place a call to Child Protective Services, because that's her counterclaim, she says that you had no basis. She believes that you did call.
Okay, that would be a different question. Would I have, if I called, would I have a basis? The answer is yes, I would.
Well, tell me what basis you had if you had called.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I don't consider that very funny. The basis I have is that I have seen her use the most unusual type of child rearing, curse words at her daughter. I've seen her with an open hand strike her daughter in the head. Also, I am quite suspicious that her daughter has some type of minimal brain damage. I'm not sure if it's cerebral palsy like my wife.
Shh, quiet. You can't be quiet, you'll leave. Do you understand? Good. Go ahead.
I am not sure if it's cerebral palsy, or I'm not sure if it's attention deficit disorder, but I know she has fine motor coordination problems because one of the things I have done with the children is to plant a garden. And when Sanji came up to plant, she could not follow my simple instructions that I could get children half her age to do. So I am just...
Put your hand down. Go ahead.
I am quite concerned. I do know...
Okay, so that would be the basis. If you had called...
If I had called.
If you had called, that would be the reason that you called.
Affirmative.
Go ahead.
Okay. As far as me, the allegation was that I called my daughter the B word and I hit her with an open fist. My daughter is really, I would never, I do not use that word.
You owe Mr. Heath $1,700, which is what he's asking for this assault. Mr. Heath may be a peculiar man. He may not have exercised good judgment when he taunted you by repeating your sister's name. It doesn't give you license to put your hand or your body, and you have a big body, sir, on another human being. You have no right to do that. As I said, there is no indication today that Mr. Heath is anything other than maybe a slight bit odd.
I resemble that remark.
Right. But that's it. And we celebrate that kind of stuff in this country. You have an absolute right to say to your daughter, I don't want you to play with Mr. Heath. I don't want you alone with him. Don't go to his house. But you can't put your hands on him. Do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all.
Parties are excused in this step.
थोड़े दूर आखो जिदे विच सजना दा डेरा उस नगरी थोड़े दूर आखो जिदे विच सजना दा डेरा जिदे विच सजना दा फेरा उस नगरी कोई दूर आखो एक सोना दूजा मूंह दा मिठा एक सोना और रज के सोना सोना एक सोना दूजा मूंह दा मिठा ते नाले कातिल नैन रसीले एक सोना दूजा मूंह दा मिठा ते नाले कातिल नैन रसीले तू इथे कला नहीं आज़म इथे लुटे गए ने कबीले तू इथे कला नहीं आज़म इथे लुटे गए ने कबीले क्योंकि जुल्फ ते नैन यार मेरे दे जेड़ा वेख फना ना होया ते जिन्हें वेख्या एक बारी ओ फिर जुदा ना होया आज़म मेरे यार दी अख दा ओ कदे तीर खता ना हो आज़म मेरे यार दी अख दा ओ कदे तीर खता ना हो तुसा सानू मुख विकलावना नहीं ते असां दीद बीना इथों जावना तुसा सानू मुख विकलावना नहीं ते असां दीद बीना इथों जावना नहीं असां मुड़ मुड़ जग ते ओ यारो आवना नहीं साडा जोगियां वाला फेरा असां मुड़ मुड़ जग ते आवना नहीं साडा जोगियां वाला फेरा ना इल्मा विच फसा सानू कोई यार दी गल सुना ना इल्मा विच फसा सानू कोई यार दी गल सुना इल्म दा सिक्का ओ यारो नहीं चलदा जिथे इश्क होरां दा डेरा इल्म दा सिक्का ओ यारो नहीं चलदा जिथे इश्क होरां दा डेरा मेरी आस उम्मीद दी दुनिया विच आका तेरी याद दा दीवा बलदा मेरी आस उम्मीद दी दुनिया विच आका तेरी याद दा दीवा बलदा ऐ महबूबा दिया ओ महबूबा ए सारा ही चानन तेरा महबूबा दिया महबूबा ए सारा ही चानन तेरा ते मेरा होके ते किसे गैर नू वेखे एक बार भी करने नहीं देना ते इश्क अपने दा तैनू होर किसे नाल मैं तां इजहार भी करने नहीं देना आज़म तैनू होर किसे नाल मैं तां प्यार भी करने नहीं देना आज़म तैनू होर किसे नाल मैं तां प्यार भी करने नहीं देना तुसा सानू मुख बिखलावना नहीं ते असां दीद भी ना तू जानना नहीं असां मुड़ मुड़ जग ते ओ यारो आवना नहीं साडा जोगियां वाला फेरा साडा जोगियां वाला फेरा ऐसा कोई महबूब न होगा न कोई है ऐसा कोई महबूब न होगा चटाई पे मगर अर्श नशी है ऐसा कोई महबूब होगा न कोई है हाँ तू वो महबूब खुदा ने कहा कि ऐसा कोई महबूब न होगा न कोई है। तू चाहे तो हर शब हो मिसाल शब असरा। तू चाहे तो हर शब हो मिसाल शब असरा। तेरे लिए दो चार कदम अर्श बनी है। नारे तकबीर, नारे रिसालत, नारे हैदरी, नारे गौसिया, मिलादे मुस्तफा।
नारे तकबीर, हाथ उठा के नारे रिसालत, नारे तहकीक, नारे हैदरी। माशाअल्लाह आज की पुरवकार खुशबूदार फकीरुल मिसाल महफिल पाक के अंदर आलिम नबील फाज़िल जलील हज़रत अल्लामा मौलाना मोहम्मद रिजवान मदनी साहब तशरीफ लाए और इनके साथ सनाखाने मुस्तफ़ा का एक हसीन गुलदस्ता भी मौजूद है। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ताला मेरी मुराद साहिबजादा मोहसिन रजा फरीदी हकानी साहब भी तशरीफ ला चुके हैं। इंशाल्लाह आपकी समातों के हवाले करेंगे। तमाम अहबाब बड़ी मोहब्बत के साथ तशरीफ। नारे तकबीर,